I'll have the pleasure now of presenting some information on the role the MPRINT Hub is playing in the DMKRCC in training, as well as some results from a survey we've conducted and our plans for some future endeavors as well. So currently there's two places specified in our proposal and milestones to provide training and education. One is through the Outreach and Education Core, where we specify that we'll provide webinars, annual meetings, publications, support for other events and conferences and so forth. But then also the pharmacometrics and clinical trial design core has an aim that specifies supporting training for the next generation of future pharmacometricians and clinical trialists to support study design and biostatistics. I will note that the other cores, the real world evidence core also and knowledge base and portal core also do participate in a number of training activities, particularly when we look at education. We have a list of bioinformatics students at Ohio State, public health, early career individuals at IU, clinical pharmacology trainees at Indiana, clinical pharmaceutical sciences, students from Purdue and IU in their PhD and master's roles, and pharmaceutics at Buffalo. All of the MPRINT sites do have T32 programs, except Buffalo and Ohio State. So, but we do work with the IU group to have that. At IU, we have one. And then we also provide cross-institutional mentorship to a number of the programs, including Children's Mercy and Cincinnati. So we recently released a trainee survey. This is the QR code. We are still collecting responses. What I'm presenting here is some preliminary results that we've received from about the first 18 subjects. So this will be in the email coming out to on the survey on the conference, and feel free to share this with trainees in your group, whether they were pediatric and maternal focused or not. Any clinical pharmacology trainee is a target. We are collecting information on where they're currently located and as well as where they trained at. So we're able to note whether they were trained at one of our pediatric programs specifically. So from our first 18 respondents, you can see this is the demographics that we've obtained. About 12 are in academia, 6 went to industry, and 4 have some sort of clinical role as well. So these are not necessarily mutually exclusive. They could have put academic and clinical on both. There were a couple who have gotten out of academic medicine or research and are fully clinical. So the current work, again, not what do you use? What skills did you learn? And we can see almost everyone uses some sort of clinical knowledge, PK/PD modeling, translational research, wet lab research was actually ranked rather high. And then, of course, pharmacogenetics and real world evidence also were commonly used. And we also looked at what year did you graduate? So we go back as far as we can, so I think we have a category for before 2010 and earlier. We don't have any current respondents from that group, but most of them have graduated in the last couple of years. One of the questions asked, which technical skills do you currently employ? With a focus kind of on the pharmacometric side, we broke out. One of the questions was initially, do you use pharmacometrics? And then if they say yes, then we broke it down into what type of pharmacokinetic modeling do you do? And so here the purple at the top is never. The blue at the bottom is very often. So you can see kind of the gradient of use. So those who very often use pharmacometrics are typically looking at pop PK. Some are followed by non-compartmental and PBPK. We have a few who sometimes look at QSP. modeling. AI has kind of minimal use right now. We only had one person say that they frequently use AI in their work. Real world evidence is the most used tool, which I don't think probably surprises anyone that this is used in a number of areas. And then we had omics used by about half of our respondents. And so this question was, again, of looking at us from a pharmacometrics clinical trial design core, looking at, what our initial question was is how can we provide pharmacokinetic training? So we really wanted to dig down into how pharmacometrics is being used by our graduates. You can see here the majority, both in academia and industry, either directly use or work in partnership with someone who utilizes pharmacometrics, but that about half only utilize it through an evaluation or don't use it at all. And so I think this helps us frame how do we need to provide information, at what level of detail do we need to look at for pharmacometrics training. We also asked a number of open questions. So one of those is, what technical skills do you most frequently use? And you can see here the list of technical skills. And, one person, of the comments that we received was, the best thing they learned was how to meaningfully conduct clinical research. So I think all of these skills really build into that. And I would hope that probably all of our graduates come up with how to meaningfully build translational research as a goal for the program. Next one was maybe, what technical skills do you wish you had learned that you didn't get to learn? And, again, there's a list of a variety of skills falling under data analytics, biostatistics, PK modeling, exposure response analysis, and then some more technical skills like R or AI, and how to run phase 1 studies or work with regulators to submit INDs and NDAs and other documentation there. And then, a couple of people pointed out we'd really like some hands-on experience. As you can see here from the quote that, they felt that the hands-on experience will really prepare you for your role of transition to industry or academia. So we also asked a little bit about what opportunities and soft skills did you learn during training, and how was that? How did you feel during your training? And you can see most of these were very positive. That the technical skills were, or the more soft skills were easier to learn. That you got feedback pretty well. But then, what soft skills do you wish you had learned that during the fellowship or learned better? Collaboration across specialties, interpersonal communication, interviewing skills, grant writing, and presentation skills. So again, most people felt that these were really important to train. There was one person who said, I don't believe these are useful in a fellowship program. And then, another who had a very specific comment about needing to have better training and learning to navigate a very harsh environment as a woman. So we are also interested in why people may have chosen academia versus industry. I'll say, from my standpoint, I'm at Indiana. Most of our T32 fellows are PharmDs who come into the program with the goal of going to industry. So I think there's a lot of them that's their first step. So you can see passion, right, was kind of the initial answer for staying in academia. I think that's also true for industry. There's a lot of times what they came into the fellowship for. But why did you stay in academia? Research freedom, opportunity for impact, support from leadership, and student loan forgiveness. And I think you really see the support from leadership as a big reasoning people may have stayed in academia versus choosing an industry job when they first came in undecided. And you can see from this quote that the support and the collaboration among colleagues was a major influence on this individual. Likewise, if you don't feel supported, you may leave, as noted by this individual who interestingly came from the same institution as the last individual in about the same time frame. So obviously people have different experiences. Our fellowships are, I think, also very individualized to the person and have multiple mentors. So that could be a component of it. But a lot of the reasons why they left, earning potential, didn't want to work on grant writing and finding their own funding, the lack of support, how difficult it is to achieve academic success. We did have one person, very clearly, actually several people put the work-life balance in their open comments, but this one question was, I had to choose between doing research in pediatrics or having my own family. And I think that's one place where, we really need to try to improve that work-life balance for our trainees. And, I know many of us here have had successful academic careers as mothers and fathers. And, I think trying to get that through to our new generation is an important aspect. So MPRINT has a number of resources that we'd like to pull together. As we talked about, the MPRINT Hub should be a reference site for these resources, is our feeling. But we've heard about resources from Impact. There's some WHO resources, some of the information from the Captain Network for the webinars, the link to the NIH training course. We would love to be able to incorporate these and other resources onto our website to make them available. So this QR code is for you to survey what resources do you have? What resources do you think you might not have, but you think would be important for us to link to or to develop, which is the second step. We will also develop resources. And then I think the third question on this survey is, what expertise do you have that you could provide to MPRINT to help us? So, we provide the pharmacometric and clinical trial design core. One of our goals is to provide support to investigators who are submitting proposals to do research in maternal and pediatric populations. Obviously, we are not the experts in everything, and there are times when we need, our neonatologists, our MFMs, and others who bring in specific types of experience and resources. So we're looking also to develop a database, which will not necessarily be made available on the website, but will be held within MPRINT. So when people reach out to us, we can try to find the appropriate individual with the knowledge to provide that experience. So now there's a link to both slides. And with that, I'll thank you. And I believe we'll invite the panelists up now for our panel discussion and audience questions and feedback on these presentations.